Hello.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. I'm going to spend a few moments talking to you about hell. And I don't want to spend so much time on it because if I'm doing a lot of time, I'm repeating a lot of stuff that I already have on other videos. Some of the answers that you will need in other videos, I will refer you to look into those videos to get those answers. Right now, I'm going to basically summarize and skim across the top to give you some idea. Talking about hell. In order for you to understand what hell is like, you got to get some idea about what heaven is like. Well, heaven, my friends, is a place where it's someplace else, or inside your spirit, or inside your mind, or right here on earth, where peace exists, prosperity, joy, and freedom, and dreams fulfilled. It is a place where your needs and your wants and your desires are met. And it comes because people believe in a spirit that they cannot see, cannot touch, cannot feel. But the evidence thereof exists right here in this earth right here. We are on it. We don't know where it comes from. The resources necessary for all of the things that we as human beings require, they are right here. We don't know where they come from. They're just here, waiting on us. And so that's a good thing. We like that. So we accept that as divine. It's a love thing for looking out for us. So we call that heaven. So understanding that little bit, then, and one more thing I want to tell you before I leave there, it's for everybody. It's not for some, it's for everybody. Now, that is a little bit of a picture of what heaven is like. Now, let me tell you about this hell thing. Now, hell is the opposite of that. It's totally the opposite. The tool of hell is deception. And the goal is greed and power. In order to support this deception, they need some tools, and those tools basically are expressed through division. And to give you an example, without going through all of that, just choose one little quick example of a division. We have our political system where it is expressed in the Republican system of doing things and the Democratic system of doing things. There's no doubt everybody in America that's old enough to know that these two exist know that there's a major problem in that. Now, the trick of trying to get people to divide people, the deception comes in and saying that there are people that are better than others, or more deserving than others, that they are special and they're superior, just to name a few. Now, can you imagine somebody thinking they're better than you, more deserving than you, more special than you, and superior to you? That kind of sets you up, right? That kind of causes some problems to you. Now, what will happen is that these movements, these exasperations, are brought forth by any means necessary. Similar to the Ponzi schemes, I think many of you might be familiar with something like that, or the pyramid schemes. I think some of you might be familiar with something like that. But if I can just throw one little thing in there right now to give you some idea about how hell works, I want to throw this in. Where else, where in America right here, or anywhere in the world, where else can a lie be accepted as truth? It has to be a place like hell. Now, in order for hell to be able to conquer a world, the United States, is built on lies and cheating and stealing and killing and creating hatred and bigotry and racism and terror and war. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have no problem with understanding. But it's not good enough just to know a little bit about what heaven is like or to know what hell is like. You want to say, how do you defeat hell? How do you defeat hell if you don't like it? Because hell already tells you how to defeat heaven by the things I just mentioned: lying, cheating, stealing, robbing people better than, that division stuff. That's how hell does it. So how is heaven going to defeat hell? Well, first of all, in order to even consider it, you got to be born again. Faith in power, unseen spirit. Can't see, can't touch, can't feel, but the evidence of the earth and all the resources here is evidence enough for you to know that there's a power somewhere that's thinking about human beings that needs what has been provided here to know that it's a good thing. Yes, my friends. Now, there's also evidence of a spirit, unseen, can't touch it, but it's here. The evidence thereof is coronavirus. You don't know where it come from. The doctors trying to do research, trying to determine if they can find out where it came from. But it's doing its damage. Its evidence is all around us. People sick, people dying. Ain't no question about it. You can't say, you know it's not you, but it's happening. So if you can accept the fact that there's a spirit like the coronavirus that's causing so much death, then that sets you up to accept the spirit different than the coronavirus with its purpose, and that's giving the opposite effect, life itself. Now, a mission of life as in heaven and as on earth here in the USA requires that we rebuild the divided house. We got to bring Republicans, Democrats back together. We must do this with a living truth, with love and justice and peace. See, when the deception took place, it kept advocating a bunch of things, just like advocating the lie is being the truth, and it becomes normal. People being told all the time that they're superior to others, and they keep hearing it all the time. Next thing they start believing it. Once they start believing it, next thing you're doing, you're creating some hatred, some animosity, some racism, and some bigotry. All of these things are products of that. It's going to tear a nation down. Sometimes the nation has to be torn down. They don't wake up. But the message that you're being hearing today is designed, and by so many others across the land, is to wake you up so you will not be destroyed. Now, to eradicate this here, people must have a change of spirit. They must have a change in character, and they must have a change in action. See, it's not good enough just to stop lying. You must resist and hate, if you can, lies. You got to stop it. You not just for yourself, but wherever lies is having some success in anybody's life, it is your duty and responsibility to expose that lie and show and reflect the opposite of what is life itself. Now, lying again must be resisted, and lies by others rather than accepted. You know, a lot of people say, "Well, I can't beat that. So I'm just going to sit down and go along with it." You know, typical example, right now in America, you got your president, you got your Republican Party, you got your Democratic Party, and they're splitting. The Republicans going on one way, Democrats trying to go another way, and they're talking about the law, a law that's designed supposedly to protect the people. Some of the people just totally resisting the law, don't care about the law. Everything the law says don't do, it does. And when it tells the people the right to stand up against the law, for some strange reason they're weak and they're not standing up against the law. And so it appears that the evilness, that this hell is just being totally manifested through this misunderstanding of God's way. But I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, this. One person in America or one person standing in the world for righteousness, set aside. They're set aside. There ain't no joining the band. There ain't no joining the group, becoming a part of it because you stand alone. No, my friends, that's your purpose, to stand alone. To stand out there and represent God. And you don't care what happens to it. You don't care what comes at you, because a righteous person here on earth, I don't know about other places, is a gift to the earth. It is a gift to any society. It is the medicine to heal the sick disease of hell. And my friends, the earth would heal or reject the medicine by killing that medicine or that doctor. So I'm saying basically this. Righteousness is a gift from God to those who seek it. The pure in heart shall see God. That's where it comes from. And if it's real, it will not muggle like we are today. We have in the Republican Party a president that acts like he has no idea what truth is. And you got a church called Evangelicals and Fundamentalist Christians who are standing right by his side. You got a United States Senate who have taken an oath to represent the Constitution and the people of this country, who sides with the Republicans who are standing against all of that the Democrats stand for. In other words, tearing down any established orders that Democrats have even set up. Now that's some hell of a division. Now, I know many of you are asking the question, what about this coronavirus? Is that from God or not? Many of you are saying, yes, it's from God. It's like a plague coming to put people back in order. Many of you are saying, no, it's not from God. It's something that was established in a laboratory. But I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's coming directly from God or established in a laboratory, in order for it to exist, there's been something that's happened in this society that has set it up to be okay for it to exist. And so if it's not coming directly from God and coming from the laboratory, the guys in the laboratory will never discover how to do it unless they're blessed from the power that they can't see. And I'm not talking about the devil. I'm talking the power of all powers. That knowledge is coming to those researchers for the benefit of doing the damage to you because of you, the people. The seeds that you've planted. What you're reaping is the same thing that you have been sowing. And so I don't care how much we try to convince ourselves that we good people, and we are. There are many good people in the world or in America, but we understand that in order for evil, in order for that which is wrong and hell to exist, and it must be bounded also on good people who do nothing. And so that's what is happening. We have an idea about heaven someplace else, and you've been denied the idea of heaven here on earth. And so you find yourself immersed in this situation of lies and wondering if somebody's all right because you do not want to be the one that has to carry that baton. You see, everybody that is, let me give you an example. Dr. King had a baton. Malcolm X had a baton. Gandhi had a baton. And some other people who we might not know have the baton. And there are a lot of people following behind them because they know they're right. They know what they represent is righteousness. And they want to be with the righteousness. At least that's what they've been saying before this here one came forward with that baton. And so they're with them. But the world knows, the evilness of the world knows that the only reason that you're following the path of righteousness is because of that leadership. The only reason you're following the path of righteousness is because of that leadership. The Democrats are not being successful in what they're doing because their leadership is not righteous. The Republicans are not righteous in what they're doing and are being successful in that thing because their leadership is unrighteous. And so when they're following that, they are just following along with unrighteousness, saying it's okay. Democrats the same way. But that's only important when either have something better to offer. And to have something better to offer is to have something that works, that draws the Republicans right here, that draws the Democrats right here, and say, hey, all right, we're going to have our needs, wants, and desires met. We're going to live in peace, prosperity, freedom, and joy of our lives and our dreams fulfilled. We'll never have to suffer for food, clothing, shelter, and education, or health care, because we all have a role to play, and we're going to allow that to manifest itself in the creative process of drawing from the resources that God has given, that which is required by us to do all and get all and be all we want to be. And until you do that, you're going to be going through some pure hell. But the righteous person is going to stand once they have converted themselves with a new birth, born again. They're going to stand. They're not going to go. And this is why the powers that be say Martin Luther King has got to die. Because when he dies, Jesse Jackson and Andrew Young and all of those other preachers who are just talking about they're representing God, they're going to sit down, fall by the wayside. So Dr. King was killed. That was it. Same thing with Malcolm X. Malcolm X, they said all we got to do is take him out. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that Malcolm wasn't just speaking against the conduct of the nation. He's speaking against the conduct also of that religious order. And Dr. King was too. He didn't bring it out like Martin did and attack it like Malcolm did. But in reality, that's why he stepped off that pulpit. Because it wasn't taking him anywhere but talking. And talking is cheap. Talking ain't going to do nothing. You're going to never find a successful leader just talking. Like Trump was a talker. But you're never going to find a successful leader just by talking. You got to do something. So when Trump talked, He challenged the United States government. He challenged the United States Constitution that's saying he didn't give a damn about it. And the people say, me either. And so they say, okay, I like him. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to establish right here, what I'm trying to say to you today, is that hell exists because people don't know the truth about heaven and earth. They don't know the truth about righteousness. You can't just talk that. When Gandhi stood up, oh, you know the story, those of you who do some research. It was a good thing. But there were people who liked things the way they were. And they say, well, we take Gandhi out and we're going to be all right. They took Gandhi out and it's been hell ever since. They took Malcolm and Martin Luther King out and it's been hell ever since. And all of us who call ourselves preachers talking. I don't care if they're black or white. I don't care if they're directly related to me. I call them family. If all we doing is talking. And the world knows it. They're not even thinking about us. The world itself, the people, are not really thinking about us. They go to church and stuff like that because they feel that they can seem like they all right people. But the devil ain't thinking about us. Why? Because we ain't doing but talking. Not a doggone thing but talking. And when we are only talking, that means, my friends, that we have not been born again. Oh, we want to say it because it sounds good. I'm born again, filled with fire and Holy Ghost. Can't you see it? Where? I see pain and suffering. I see people going through all kinds of changes, but you're born again. What's the difference between you talking and me not talking? I mean, what's the difference? It exists because of that. Now, if you're born again, you're righteous. And righteousness, I mean, you can't hide. You set aside out there like the sun and the moon. And if they don't like you, they're going to get rid of you. But that's okay to get rid of you because it can only happen if God permits it. That virus can never exist unless God permits it. The seed you plant don't give you the fruit that you get. Now, if you plant it, it's coming back to you. I'm saying, I got to stop now within the next few seconds. I want to thank you so very much for listening to. I know I've confused a lot of you, but at the same time, I've gotten some of your attention. So I want you to, ladies and gentlemen, I want to recommend that you go to Facebook or YouTube and pull up The Superior System of Government. The Superior System of Government by Eddie Marcus. And it will explain to you what I'm talking about. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted you to know a little bit about hell and heaven and what is required to change from one to the other. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus. Say goodbye.